What is going on, everybody? RDG Ricky back at you guys. So, if you guys have enjoyed or do enjoy seeing a big fat Puerto Rican like myself talking in front of a camera to you guys about sports, hit that subscribe button, hit the like, comment down below. I always enjoy that. And if you don't, I don't know, just do it anyways just to be spontaneous, right? Doesn't hurt nobody. Help a brother out. So anyways, guys, at this point in the offseason, we are pretty much headed out of the wilderness. We're going out into the wilderness that is the MLB season. So we've gone from the hibernation to waking up. You know, we're seeing all the moves flourishing, everything coming before our eyes. And this is the moment where the fruits of the labor from what the teams have done this offseason are starting to come together, and we will see in live action coming up soon. So about a month from right now, at this very moment, we will be seeing some real baseball. And hey, I'm excited as hell. So I think it's never too early, but I think it's about the right time right now where we could talk about the biggest winners and the biggest losers from this offseason, 2019 going into 2020. We'll start with the teams, in my opinion, and I'm not going to go through all the teams, but I'm going to highlight the top 6, in my opinion, that were winners and losers, right? So we'll start with the teams that took the Buku L this offseason. And for y'all don't know what Buku means like very, a lot, immense amounts. So there were Buku buns, meaning they were trash moves. They really didn't do much to help their team in the 2020 season. Let's start with the St. Louis Cardinals. I hate to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals in this fashion, but in my opinion, they did themselves no service whatsoever. So this whole thing with the Nolan Arenado possible trade that they were thinking about doing, I was so pulling for them to go ahead and make that move. Nolan Arenado, as we know, he is one of the top players in all of baseball. In my opinion, the best third baseman in all of baseball. I would love to see that guy in a Red Sox uniform. The guy, everything about him, everything, the way he plays, I mean, he is a thing of beauty. It's like watching the Nutcracker for the first time when you're in elementary school. I used to see that all the time in a field trip. I was so amazed watching it, you know? You see these people gracefully dancing on a stage, and it's like all lights are on them. It's great. That is what it's like watching Nolan Arenado play baseball. The guy is like a freaking swan out there in a lake, just majestic. I know those are strong words, but I think it fits perfect what Nolan Arenado is to baseball. So they don't get that guy. And, this comes after they lose, a guy that could be a formidable force in the lineup. That is Marcell Ozuna. Marcell Ozuna, I seen him coming up through the ranks literally from my hometown watching him play minor league baseball. The guy is great. He may have not had the seasons that he had with the Marlins prior, but he is a guy that can provide protection for Paul Goldschmidt in that lineup. Not to mention, the St. Louis Cardinals still suffer from lack of pitching. Now, last year they were in many games only to just succumb to a terrible bullpen, terrible pitching, and therefore just pretty much ruining their season. So to me, they've done nothing really of significance to improve their chances going into 2020. Guys, I'm sorry, you're going to have to take that L. Next squad, the Boston Red Sox. Listen, I hate to talk about my squad in this way, but they have taken probably the second biggest Buku L this offseason. The Boston Red Sox, so not only do they, you know how I feel about the Mookie Betts trade. I don't like it one bit. So when you lose a guy like that, his numbers as far as wins above replacement is immense. You lose a guy like that, a big bopper in your lineup, someone that's a 5-2 player, and someone that does everything well on the baseball field. You lose a guy like that, and you get future in return because it's not right now. And to be honest with you, I just don't see Alex Verdugo ever being Mookie Betts-esque. So you lose that guy, right? And to this point, they've done subpar depth moves, not guys that are really going to sit there over the top, put you over the top where you want to be to, advance and they missed the playoffs last year primarily because of a bad bullpen and bad starting pitching. So not only do you lose Mookie Betts, you lose David Price, which, listen, you can argue he may not be the best at this point in his career, but he's still a solid quality starter in the league. I can project him, to be honest, as a third or fourth starter. Even if he was your fifth, that'd be probably the best fifth starter in your rotation in all of baseball. You lose that guy, and you pretty much don't have anyone to replace him with at this point of significance. No one has popped up and taken the job as of yet. I mean, it's a loss. A loss in a team that's already desperate for pitching. It's a very big loss. On top of that, you lose your skipper. You lose Alex Cora. So you lose the continuity in a sense. You don't have your skipper in there. Even though at this point we know they brought in Ron Renicky with the interim title. So look for him to lead the Red Sox beyond this season. But in my opinion, they've taken the L because even though I believe they'll still be competitive, the pitching has a lot to be desired. Losing Mookie Betts is big, but I still think they have enough weapons to put runs on the board. I just am not confident whatsoever in the pitching. Haven't been for a couple years, and at this point, it hasn't been addressed majorly. So Red Sox, I love y'all. I look forward to seeing you guys this year, but boo-hoo L for my squad. Then the biggest one of them all, the Houston Astros. So in more ways than one have they taken an L this offseason. So the Houston Astros, as we know, they've been a part of this huge scandal that I'm fucking tired of talking about, but we got to sit there and put it into perspective. So they took the massive L this offseason. They lost Garrett Cole, so they lose him in free agency. I figured he wasn't going to stay. So they lose him. Marisnik, doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but they lose Marisnik, And I think the biggest of them all, they lose their skipper. They lose their credibility. And now they have this big elephant in the room. Now, believe it or not, stuff like this can linger. Just as the Red Sox almost seem to have was what you call, almost like there's that Madden curse. The Red Sox almost had like the World Series hangover where the manager made all these stupid decisions, Alex Cora, to rest these guys for major amounts of time in a spring training, like if they didn't, as if they didn't need to get ready for the season. And it took them a while to get ready and going up. Well, I believe this scandal is going to sit there and take a hold on the Astros season. So in a way, it's not like they lost a huge amount. They still got Justin Verlander. They still got Zach Greinke. He's all right at this point. They still have some decent pitching. But in a sense, I still feel like they've lost just a ton. Not only respect, they lost credibility, and they've lost their skipper, which held the glue together, right? So now they got Dusty Baker, which, I mean, listen, I think he did all right with the Reds. I think to this point, though, he hasn't shown very much success. And I think overall, what we're going to see is the Houston Astros will be a team. They're not going to be a joke of a team, but I think you're going to see them take steps back. They didn't do nothing to improve themselves. They take the biggest L that I'm going to handle. Let's go on to the winners. The winners of the offseason to this point. Let's start with the Angels. So the Angels, as we know, they acquired Anthony Rendon. They won the Anthony Rendon sweepstakes. We knew that the Washington Nationals, hey, I'm happy for them. They took the chip. I love it. I was happy as hell for them. So we knew they couldn't sit there and just sign Steven Strasburg and Anthony Rendon. And to be honest with you, I don't think you could go around keeping either one of them. So either way, you obviously, you can't afford both. And they're both all-stars and elite at their positions. So either way, you're going to be stuck trying to fill a void once one of them left. You can't be mad at them for picking their choosing. And they took Steven Strasburg. Steven Strasburg's still good. So, with the Angels picking up Anthony Rendon, I think it's a very big pickup for them in a lineup. So, the Angels almost are like the Dodgers, in my opinion, in that it seems like every year they make a move, an offensive move, something to stack themselves, only to underwhelmingly perform in the season. And I don't know, that's a very good pickup. You're gonna have more protection for Mike Trout there. You're gonna have a very good solid lineup, throughout the lineup. It's still gonna be pretty good. We'll see how they do, but they're still missing some pitching. I mean, even though I think they won the offseason, in the sense of the moves they made, they're still probably going to struggle, although I think they're going to put up quite a bit of runs. But I still think with the moves they made, and then they go ahead and you hire someone like Joe Madden. Joe Madden, I'm a firm believer in that guy. I love what he did with the Rays. He made those people relevant again. Goes to the Cubs, wins them a chip for the first time since your great grandma's been born, and he makes it. He moves on to the Angels. But listen, if anybody can turn a program around, I believe it's Joe Madden. Just for that alone, you guys are winners. Y'all take the dub right there. So let's move on. The next winners, I believe, are the Los Angeles Dodgers. How could you not believe that they are winners in this offseason? I mean, listen, you acquire Mookie Betts, you acquire David Price. So already a stacked lineup, so to speak. So you add Mookie Betts, an all-star caliber, and an MVP caliber, and big wins above replacement player at his position. You add him to an already World Series team. If you guys aren't in the World Series this year again, or winning it, or even closer to winning it, I don't know what to tell you guys. You guys are failing miserably. So, and not only that, but you guys get solid pitching in David Price. They're going to take about half of the contract. It's worth it, though. So they go ahead, and not only that, but the 3-team trade that initially was proposed between the Red Sox, Twins, and Dodgers that imploded, they still end up getting that prospect Gatterall. So they really did make out. I'm impressed with the moves they made. They made out better in the long run than they initially were going. So listen, you can't help but give them that W, man. The Dodgers took a buku W this offseason. Look for them to be World Series favorites, to not only make it in the NL, but also to even win the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I really think they're going to be something special, and they're going to be an absolute force to be reckoned with. Now, we're going to go on my last team. As much as I hate to say it, I can't stand the motherfuckers, but the New York Yankees. Oh, it kills me. It kills me. Absolutely kills me to have to say this. The New York Yankees, they take the dub. So I think for the biggest reason is they land was possibly the biggest fish in free agency. And I knew it was going to happen. Garrett Cole. The New York Yankees land Garrett Cole. Now, the New York Yankees on paper. Now, listen, they lost Dylan Betances. The guy was hurt. I think he was all right. You know what I mean? He still was showing too many signs of non-clutchness. But in the long run, the Yankees, if you look at their rotation, they're going to have a solid rotation in there with Garrett Cole. I mean, Garrett Cole is going to be your number one. So then you can go from Garrett Cole to Sevi. You know what I mean? You go from there. I mean, they lost Sabathia, but he was washed up at that point anyways. You can easily replace him with anybody else. The Yankees won. Listen, the Yankees already had a great offense. We knew they had a very nasty offense. You didn't have to really do much with it. But their biggest thing, they got a bullpen. They still have arguably probably the best bullpen in all of baseball, even though they lost Dylan Betances. They still arguably have probably the best bullpen in baseball. They were still looking for someone to headway, and that's Garrett Cole. Even though in the long run, I think this contract might bite them in the ass. Oh well, you know what? You're going to probably get another solid 3-4 years out of Garrett Cole, Cy Young level pitching, and that's all they need at this point because they've been on the cusp of the World Series now for a couple seasons. They're young, they're talented, they're probably really hungry, and I think they've watched the Red Sox contend enough and eat their cookies, or I think they're hungry enough where I think it's their time. Listen, as much as I can't stand those bastards, I think it's time for them. I mean, I think as much as I'm pumping the brakes on a lot of Yankees and Dodgers fans saying, hey, there's going to be a World Series between these two teams, I think it's going to happen. I think both teams are going to be solid enough. They're going to dominate. And you know what? The New York Yankees, once again, you guys get a W for me. Good job this offseason and reeling in the big fish. And we already know it's going to be the highest bidder. And they went ahead and got it done, right? That's what it is. To me, the name of the game in sports, professional sports, you got an owner that's willing to spend the money. He's not worried about no luxury tax and all that shit. Your team will be competitive for years to come. Guys, if you like this video, give me a big thumbs up. Comment, subscribe to this channel. Peace out, y'all. Love y'all.